Following the success of Pump Fun, a new meme creation and trading platform has gained popularity in the BSC ecosystem. This is none other than the For Meme Exchange. So in today's video, we are going to use Bitquery API to create a meaningful project that would help you monitor the activities on For Meme. That includes the latest trades on the For Meme Exchange, the recent trades of a particular trader, and the recent trades of a particular token. So this is how our final product would look like. These are the latest trades, and you can see by clicking on these URLs, we can go to latest trades by a particular trader. Also, there are some buttons over here to toggle between buys and sell. Then we have a button to go back to home. Also, we could just click the currency address from here instead of from the home and go to the currency trades. So you can see this is the trades of this currency where we have a trader URL to go to the traders page of this particular address. Also, we have transaction hash attached over here. So if you want to check details of a transaction, you could click on this URL and you would be redirected to the Explorer page of Bitquery. So now we'll use the home button to go back to our main page. So now that you have got a good idea of what we are going to build, let's jump into the code base. Now this is the root directory of the project we are going to build. And before understanding any of the folder structure, let's check out the README review. In here, we have some basic info about the project, and we have also added documentation links for the BitQuery. These are some features. These are the instructions for installation and running the project. And this is the important part, which is the folder structure of this project. So within the API folder, we have a file named the4memeapi.js, which has the three APIs that are required for this project, which are the latest trade API, the trades of a trader API, and trades of a token API. This is the app folder. Within here, the code for front end is written. The page.js is the code for displaying the latest trades on the exchange. Within the trades folder, we have two folders. One is token slash square bracket ID, which has a page.js, which displays trades of a token. Now this ID over here is for the dynamic routing in Next.js. I'll explain more about this later. So firstly, let's try to understand the API perspective or the backend perspective of this project. For that, we'll check out this formemeapi.js file. This is a simple code. We are using Axios to access the API. Along with that, I'm using .env and I have configured it and I'm using it to keep my auth token from the BitQuery secret. You should also follow the same practice and make sure to name the variable starting with next underscore public underscore. Now we have imported these three variables, trades data, the trader data, and token data from the query folder files. I'll talk more about it later. Firstly, let's understand this config. We are defining a config where we have defined method, which is post, the max body length of the response, the URL which we are going to hit, it is the following. Also, we are defining headers with content type as JSON and the authorization to access the BitQuery API. And for that, we are going to need the auth token, which I have already defined in my .env file. For now, the data is empty string. And these three functions are actually our three API endpoints that will get us the latest trades, the user trades, and the token trades. So the basic flow is same. What we are doing is we are defining the config.data here as trades data. Then we are getting a response using axios.request function. Then using the chaining property, we are getting the latest trades. Here it's response.data.data.evm.events, and then we are returning latest trades. But in these two, it's a little different. We are passing an argument trader and here currency address. So we are defining config.data as trader data with the argument trader. Then we are getting the response using the axios.request and then the latest user trades using the chaining property, and then we are returning. And similar is the case with get token data. Now we'll go into the query folder. So trades data is actually a query request that we are going to push to the Bitquery API to get a response. So this is the query that we are using for getting trades. You can see here nothing dynamic is required as the transaction 2 address is fixed. This is the address for 4 meme and the signature name is fixed, which is token sale. Hence, no argument was passed in trades data. It is just exported here as a variable. But in the other two, it's quite different. So you can see the trader data is actually defined as a function, and I have passed the parameter trader. And within the query, we have two classifications, buys and sells. And you can see within the query, I have defined the trader dynamically. Similar is the case with the token data. You can see I'm passing a currency address variable parameter and using it over here. And these two are exported as a function rather than a variable, which was the case for trades.js. Now, with a good understanding of how the backend of the things are working, let's jump into the front end part. Firstly, let's understand the page.js. This is the main page of our application, and this displays the latest trades on the 4meme exchange. So one thing to remember in Next.js is to type this statement use client so that the Next.js goes so that the Next.js could interpret the following code as front-end components. Now we are exporting default function meme.dex dashboard, and firstly we are using these states to set the parameters. Then we are using the use effect, and we are trying to get data by hitting the get latest trades API, which we have created recently. And then we set the trades variable in the state as data. If there is a error, we console.log that. And finally, after all this is done, we set loading as false. So this loading parameter was used for our conditional rendering. So in the use effect, we hit the fetch trades after an interval of 10 seconds, and then we clear the interval as in to reset the timer. Now coming to the rendering part, here's the heading. And within this div, we have first put a conditional rendering. This is the loading parameter which was earlier defined. If it's true, then it will show some text like that. But otherwise, it will show a table, which is the following. We have defined the table head. Here we have the headings of each field of the table. We are getting currency address, trader address, the cost, and amount. So under the table body, we are basically mapping the trades. And for each trade, we are getting currency address, which is trade.arguments0.value.address, trader address, which is trade.arguments1.value.address, the cost in BNB, which is trade.argument2.value.big integer by 10 to the power 18. And we are passing this as float to convert this big integer to float. And then we are fixing it to the 12 digits. Also, we are getting the trade.arguments3.value.big integer, which is the amount of tokens traded by 10 to power 18 parse float and to the decimals too. So one interesting thing that you can see is that we are using link tag. This is to get the routing for getting the currency trades and the trader trades. So what will it do is it will take us to within the same folder trades, tokens, and trade argument 0, whatever the value would be. And that's why we are using this square bracket ID over here, because whatever the value would be, it could be anything. Hence, this method is defined in Next.js to deal with the dynamic routing. Now, for the tokens trade, we are again using use client, and we have imported some libraries like use state, use effect, link, use params, and get token trades is the imported API. Now, for the function, which is currency trades, we are first getting the params using the use params, and then we are getting the currency address from params.id. Now what we are doing is we are setting the states. One is loading and one is loading, one is trades, and we are using use effect. And firstly, we'll check if some currency address is returned. If it's not, then we'll stop the loop. Now, what we'll do is we'll try to get the trade data using get token trades currency address, and then set the trades variable to the data. If there is an error, we'll console.log it, and then we'll finally set the loading to false. Now in the rendering part, we firstly have in the link tag a button for going to home. It is for the UI purposes. Then we have a heading that says trades for currency and the currency address. Then we have the conditional rendering that if it's still loading, it will show this text. And also if the trace.length is 0, then it will show this text. And if neither is the case, then we'll get this table with headers like trader, cost, amount, and transaction hash. For the body again, we are mapping the trades. We are getting trade.arguments1.value.address, which is the trader address. We are getting the value and the amount the same way as that. So now we are getting the transaction hash as the following URL plus this variable part, which we also get from each trade. This is trade.transaction.hash. So what it will do is it will take us to the Bitquery Explorer for the following transaction on BSC network. And that's the token page. And with the similar logic, we have a trader page where we are using params, we are setting the states, but here we are setting two states instead of one, which is instead of trades, we are setting buys and sells. And we also have one more Boolean state over here for the toggle button functionality. The use effect is more or less the same. The buy list is data.buys, the sell list is data.sells, and we are here updating our state variables and setting loading as false. And now for the rendering, here also we have the home button with similar logic. We have a heading that trades by the following trader. Here is one different thing which wasn't present in the first two pages. It's the toggle button. That is the button which on click set show buys to not show buys. We have a text saying toggle buy sled. And we also have a label with the same that if it's show buys, then the label says viewing buys. If it's not, then it says viewing sells. And other rendering part is same for conditional rendering, loading trades. And if show buys is true, then it will show buys. Otherwise, it shows sells. If length is 0, then we'll say no buy sell trade found. If neither is the case, then we'll render buys or sells depending on the show buys. And whatever it is, we'll map them and get values like the currency address, which is trade transfer currency dot smart contract, and link it to the currency page using the following URL. We'll also have the trade transfer currency dot symbol to show the symbol, Then we'll also show amount and the timestamp using block.time. So this is the front end part of the project, and this is all of it. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something new. So like, share, and subscribe, and make sure to join the Bitquery Telegram channel from the description of the video. I'll be sharing the project source code in the description of the video as well.